Have you ever wondered why even the most righteous people struggle with temptation? Why is lust such a powerful test, even for those closest to Allah? Think about it. When we read the stories of the prophets, scholars, and great believers, we see that their biggest trials weren't always about wealth, power, or fear. Many of them were tested with desires, with attraction, with the pull of lust. But why? Why would Allah allow such trials for those who are most devoted to Him? Shouldn't their path be easier? Shouldn't their faith protect them from such struggles? The answer is both simple and profound. Lust is not just a feeling. It is a test of self-control, a battle between the soul and the nafs, inner self. It is one of the greatest struggles a believer can face because it strikes at the core of human nature. And that is why it is such a powerful test for those chosen by Allah. Allah created humans with desires, but He also gave them the ability to control them. Unlike animals, who act purely on instinct, humans have free will. They can choose to follow their desires blindly, or they can rise above them and seek Allah's pleasure. And that choice, that struggle, is what makes some people stand out in the eyes of Allah. In Surah Ash-Shams, Allah tells us, "And the soul and He who proportioned it and inspired it with the ability to discern its wickedness and its righteousness. He has succeeded who purifies it, and he has failed who instills it with corruption." Quran 91, 7-10. Lust is one of the strongest forces that can either corrupt the soul or refine it. And this is why it is such a great test for those whom Allah loves. Because when they overcome it, they reach a level of purity, discipline, and closeness to Him that few can attain. This test is not a punishment. It is a path to greatness. Lust is not just a physical desire. It is a battle between the soul and the self, between our higher purpose and our lower instincts. Allah has created us with desires, but He also commands us to control them. This struggle is nothing new. It has existed since the beginning of time. Every believer, no matter how strong, has faced it. And the ones who succeed, they are the ones who earn Allah's highest rewards. In Surah An-Nazi'at, Allah makes a powerful statement, "But as for he who feared the position of his Lord and prevented the soul from unlawful inclination, then indeed paradise will be his refuge." Quran 79, 40-41. This ayah teaches us something deep. True success is not just about worship, charity, or knowledge. It is about mastering the inner self. It is about fearing Allah enough to say no when desires whisper yes. But let's be honest, this is easier said than done. The pull of lust is strong. It comes in many forms, through the eyes, through the mind, through emotions. It can appear in a private moment, in a conversation, in a single glance. And in today's world, where temptation is everywhere, controlling it feels even harder. But that is exactly why it is such a great test. If it were easy, everyone would pass. But Allah only elevates those who struggle for His sake. Think about it. If you hold back from something haram, purely because you love and fear Allah, that moment of restraint is worth more than 1,000 empty prayers. It is proof that your heart truly submits to Him. So remember, when lust calls you, when the temptation feels too strong, know that this moment is your test. And if you overcome it, you are not just avoiding sin. You are walking the path of the chosen, the ones who struggle. But for the sake of Allah, they win. Shaytan knows this weakness. He has used it since the beginning of time. When Prophet Yusuf, Beish OS, was tempted by the wife of Al-Aziz, he was alone, young, and in a place where no one would see him. He had every reason to fall into sin. But what did he say? I seek refuge in Allah. Indeed, He is my master. Quran 12:23. This was not just a casual response. It was a cry from the heart of a believer who knew that only Allah could save him from his desires. And because of his sincerity, Allah protected him. But let's pause and think. Why did Allah test Prophet Yusuf, Aziz, in this way? Why would He allow one of His most beloved servants to be placed in such a situation? Because this is the nature of life. The closer someone is to Allah, the greater their tests. And the test of lust is among the hardest because it directly challenges the soul's discipline and devotion. It is a test that comes when you are alone, when no one is watching, when the only thing stopping you is your connection with Allah. And that is why this battle is so special. When a believer resists temptation, when they lower their gaze, when they walk away from sin, they prove something incredible. They prove that Allah means more to them than their desires. And this struggle doesn't go unnoticed. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us about 7 types of people who will be under the shade of Allah on the Day of Judgment. One of them is a man who is invited to sin by a woman of status and beauty, but he says, I fear Allah. Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. This means that every time you say no for the sake of Allah, you are securing a place under His shade on a day when there will be no other shade. That is the reward of those who fight this battle and win. The struggle against lust is not a sign of weakness, it is a test of strength. And the stronger the believer, the harder the test. Lust is one of the greatest deceptions of Shaytan. He makes it look harmless, fun, and even necessary. He whispers, what's the big deal? Everyone does it. He convinces people that following their desires will bring them happiness. But what does Allah say? Do not follow your desires, for they will lead you astray from the path of Allah. Quran 38:26. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ also warned us, paradise is surrounded by hardships, and hell is surrounded by desires. Sahih Muslim. This hadith is a powerful reminder. It tells us that following our desires without limits leads to destruction, while resisting them leads to eternal success. But let's be real, this is not an easy fight. Temptation is everywhere. We live in a world where harem has become normal. From social media to movies, from casual conversations to private thoughts, lust is constantly being fed. And for many, resisting it feels impossible. But here's the truth. Allah never burdens a soul beyond what it can bear. Quran 2286. If you are struggling with this test, know that you are capable of winning it. If Allah has placed this challenge in your life, it means He knows you have the strength to overcome it. And the reward is beyond imagination. Every time you lower your gaze, every time you walk away from temptation, every time you fight your nafs, you are not just avoiding sin, you are proving your loyalty to Allah. You are showing Him that His pleasure matters more than your temporary desires. So when you feel weak, when the temptation is strong, remember this. You are not alone. You are being tested because you are chosen. And if you remain patient, Allah will raise you higher than you ever imagined. So, if you struggle with this, know that you are not alone. Even the greatest of believers faced it. But the key is to keep fighting. Seek help from Allah. Lower your gaze. Fast if you must. And never stop making dua. Because in the end, those who win this battle will be counted among the chosen ones. Lust may feel like a private struggle, but in reality, it is a battle that every believer fights. The difference is in how we respond. Some people fall into sin and stay there, believing that they are too weak to change. Others slip, but they turn back to Allah, seeking forgiveness and trying again. And then there are those who stand firm from the beginning, knowing that this is not just about avoiding sin. It's about proving their devotion to Allah. Which one will you be? The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ gave us a powerful reminder. Whoever seeks chastity, Allah will make him chaste. Whoever seeks patience, Allah will grant him patience. And whoever seeks to be self-sufficient, Allah will enrich him. Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. This means that if you truly want to resist lust, if you sincerely ask Allah for help, He will strengthen you. But you have to take the first step. You have to make the effort. So how do you fight this battle? First, guard your eyes. Every sin begins with a glance. The more you look, the more your heart becomes attached. Lower your gaze and you protect your soul. Second, fast. The Prophet ﷺ said, "O young man, whoever among you can afford marriage, let him marry, for it is more effective in lowering the gaze and guarding one's chastity. And whoever cannot afford it should fast, for it will be a shield for him." Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. Third, surround yourself with good company. Being around people who remind you of Allah will make this struggle easier. And finally, never stop making dua. Even if you fall 1,000 times, get up 1,001. Because those who keep striving, those who keep seeking Allah's help, will find His mercy waiting for them. If this video inspired you, share it with someone who might need this reminder. And remember, every struggle you face for Allah's sake is bringing you closer to Him.